Welcome. I want to take you through the process of taking a plein air study and developing it a little bit further. In this case, I went outside and I painted 4 different pieces, small, every 15 minutes, tracking the light through the plein air landscape. And you never know what you're going to get. In this instance, I really like the third one. I really like the high key value of it. The only thing I didn't really like in the end was the proportion, so I'm going to go more square. As you can see, I already have it sketched out, and we're going to take that idea, bring it into here, and if I like it, then we're going to go even bigger, maybe a 12 by 12, 16 squared, 18 squared, etc., and we'll see how it goes. So let's get started. I did want to show you this sketch here. I'll bring it up larger on the screen, and it was my sketch to develop from the elongated kind of 9 by 12 format to a square format. And even here I got proportions a little bit wrong because in the sketch I noticed that the sky was smaller, so I implemented that onto the larger 8 by 8 because I really like that idea of the high horizon and the long water. So let's get started. Because this palette is so small, I might mix a bit on my larger palette and bring it on over to show you. I'll be aiming to use larger brushes. This is the 2" by Liquitex. And if you want to know, my colors are Hansa Yellow Medium, a Cobalt Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Transparent Red Oxide, Yellow Ochre, and a Viridian. And of course, a lot of white because we're going to go pretty high key. So let's start with a pre-mix here. I think I'm going to establish this green first. Do some cobalt and some yellow. And I have this mixing memory from when I was on site. These are my plein air colors as well. A little more blue, touch of Viridian. And I don't usually pre-mix, but because we're going to be using such a large brush on here, even though I'm massing in this value here, I will want a vertical stroke on it, but I will adjust that in a second. All right, so then this vertical here, go over the lines where the tree trunk is. Now we'll work more in the background. We have this really light orange here. One color I missed was a permanent alizarin crimson here. Use it to help mix in this orange color. It's very light, the same value as this green. So if we lay this down, that's a little bit too dark. Add some white, which will cool it. I think we'll start this one from scratch. I want it more yellow side. I think it's a yellow ochre I need. That's right, I remember this now. This is more of a yellow ochre with a little bit of the red in it. Now generally lighter things reflect a little bit darker, so I'm going to darken this mix, throwing in a little bit more yellow ochre. So the general consensus is that lighter things will reflect darker and darker things will reflect lighter. That's the general rule, but you can break it, of course. You don't have to follow it, but I find it really helps to differentiate on a painting the reflection from the actual object. We'll come back over with that green a little bit later to get that layered feeling. There we are. One thing I'm going to do as well is we'll remember where this reflection line starts by just indicating it here. I'll do the same up front of this one. But what that allows me to do is it does allow me to bring some of this darker mix into the upper mix, join them together a little bit, and it will make the differentiation with a waterline later. Let's move over to this, which is more of the pinkish hue, which is kind of what I started down with here. Can probably add, might be too much white, more alizarin crimson, really bright color, so maybe we'll stick with red oxide, a little bit of green to kill the chroma. See where that leaves us. Of course, that's too dark. A little bit lighter, because it is slight in the background. Maybe a touch of yellow. Of course, I'm painting this a little more abstractly because I like the large, distinguished shapes. You don't have to, of course. You can be a little more representational, but then I'll start to darken this. That'll be good. I'll bring some of that up into there. Nice. I might want to add a little bit of light reflection up here later. We'll see. Let's mix in this light, low chromatic teal for the background trees. I think we probably have to go lighter. Yeah, the colors will never be exact, but we'll get close enough. Definitely need a bit lighter. So like that. One thing I do have is a nice little streak of light down there. So what I need to do is add quite a bit of light to this. And it comes through here. So I'll probably just lay it in there, try to do it with one stroke. Try to keep it clean, and we'll see how that reflects down below. And as we keep going, since we're working with background trees, let's move into the water, which will work with the green, the blue, and some of these other colors we previously mixed in to get a darker version of this teal. And matching the color, of course, isn't critical because reflections are always a little different. We can go a little more blue, a little more green. And overall, I like that, but I think it needs to be lighter. Value is so important. Again, a little bit lighter. Test. Notice how I mix, test. All right, testing is so important. Even if you're just using with a brush, it's so important to mix and test, Make sure you got the right color. Pull that off. All right. Notice these values are exactly the same, which I find interesting. And I'll go over where the streak comes because when we add it, adding that extra bit of intermixing is so important. We don't really need it to be a fresh canvas underneath. Come over a little bit too far because I need to make room for the reflection. There we are. All right, as you can see here, we have a yellowy ochre, which is a lot lighter than this, equal to value, I think, of this green. So we'll just do yellow and ochre and a lot of white. And this is how the sun was hitting this section here. It's just really bright. And to create a little bit of interest, I think we're going to take this mix, red oxide, maybe more a little yellow ochre, and we're shifting the hue, but more importantly, we're shifting the value here. And what I want to do is just come in and adjust this a little bit. Just a little bit of differentiation from both sides. So now we gradiate a little bit in, and we can probably use this mixture, maybe if we darken it up a little bit, as the reflection. We'll use this mixture as the reflection. Of course, we can bring this up a little bit. All right, so I think we're going to do the same for the green and bring in a bit of more of a gradation. Bring in some of that original green, add some white, some yellow. Do a test. Yeah, I like that. And of course, we'll use this down here as well where we have the reflection. Applying that same concept to this back mass of ochre bushes, we'll do the same. A little bit of yellow to maintain that sun-kissed feeling. Yes, I like that. Let's bring that feeling in here. And with this idea of making it lighter, I don't want to make it all lighter. I want to do a proportion thereof. So potentially, I will just do that. I have a little bit extra paint there that I'll adjust off. And if I wanted to go a little bit further, thinking that if this is the focal point-ish, I'll add, depending how far you want to push it. All right, I'm going to finish this off. We need this beautiful reflection here. Beautiful aqua that we have, make it lighter. It's okay if some of this yellow mix into it. I think that would be a good mix. Good amount of paint, and we'll take a look where this is. Just do the same and adjust as needed. All right, and let's just soften this edge. I don't really like how that came about. And then what's interesting, we have a nice peak of blue down here, really light blue. And I remember that just being cobalt and white. Mastering your values is so important, and that's why you mix and test, mix and test. Let's get a good amount of paint on the right side or left side of that brush. I just want to put it in right there. Nice. That's really all I wanted. And now let's have some fun with the tree, which is very, very, very light. A lot of white, tiny bit of ochre, tiny bit of transparent red oxide, probably some blue, and a lot more white. Take half of that, add some white. I know this is like super desaturated, super bright. Yeah, I like that. We're going to take a different approach and we're going to apply this quite thick horizontally. And as we come down, we're going to slowly darken so we can move this to the side, bring this in, add a little bit there. I want to mix in more blue, using my cobalt here, more transparent red oxide. Test, I like that. Maybe a little more blue as we come down. Reflection will start coming in. I'll use this to start getting quite dark and very blue. And what this will do is it'll bring in an interesting component to it, a very dark blue amongst all these lighter values. But you'll see the blue will also start to sing because of the orange. And last but not least, a lot of blue. All right, I really like how that works. Now, of course, we're going to do the reflection lines where the water interrupts the actual object and the reflection itself. I'm going to start with this over here. This might be dark enough. Let's start off with this, see where this takes us. Get a little bit on the brush, not too much so we can control it. And that reflection line is about right there. There we are. And to just emphasize that line a little bit, I think we're going to darken it a bit more, but we're going to keep it cool so it doesn't get too hot. Try that. Put a little bit on the brush. Come through. There we go. And we're going to do the same over here. Bring in that mixture. Again, going for a little bit darker, but also going for a little cooler. Definitely needs to be darker. And a little bit on the brush. Following our reflection line. I really like that. I think to get a little more interest, I am going to punch up this reflection right there where that light blue is. And we're going to go for a lot of white. Touch of blue, touch of verdian. And keep that color a little more pure. Maybe we'll throw in a bit of yellow for the feeling of warmth in the sun. It's a gamble. I don't want to shift it too yellow, too green. Got a bit blue, so let's throw in the green. Let's throw in the yellow. And a lot more white. Now, we're going to put a big sploosh here. And then from there, I like that. I like how it draws us up towards that area. All right, I think there's more we could do with this, but let's take a fresh look without the tape. So we have a nice abstract form here. I think this could be enhanced more by lightening these two shapes even more, like really pushing them back. Yeah, I think they ended up getting a little bit too dark in there. So, all right, it's another day, and I've decided to change this up again. You can see already it's different from where I left it. I just didn't like that red color. I did it, but I didn't, and I wanted to make it more simple. So I eliminated that kind of a red piece of landscape there and just kept the blue consistent between the two areas, top and bottom. And looking at it again now after a couple weeks, I want to make a differentiation between the water and those back trees. So I think I'm going to probably lighten the back trees, even though this goes against kind of some of the ideas about a reflection. But I'm going to keep this reflection rather aqua, kind of this value. And I'll make this a little bit lighter, maybe lead it towards more of the Viridian. So let's see how it works. And I really love how it's coming along. And I'm so excited to do this like 40 by 40 or 48 squared because I think it can have a lot of potential impact. It just has a lot of great bones to it. So let's get started, make those changes and see how it looks. All right, what I've done is I've pre-mixed the colors and the palette that I want on this painting. You can see I've went with a more of an aqua for the water reflection, and then a lighter leaning towards more of the Viridian for the distant trees, just because I want a value shift and a little bit of a hue shift in there. So let's put this paint in and see how it goes. Big chroma shift, which is nice. I like that. I want to get some nice saturation in there. Way down. Careful with what's there. Some of the paint still isn't dry yet from previous, but that's okay. This line is important right there. The chroma brings a little bit of life to it, a little more than I had before. I mean, as much as I love the gray kind of day feeling, I want to bring a little bit more life into this piece. Previous texture showing through. I really like that. Nice vibrancy. You could argue for some sort of gradation in here, but since everything else is somewhat flat, I mean, we have a little bit of interest here through some gradations, but I think primarily we'll keep this flat and as well as the back tree area. And now let's put in this lighter, more Viridian. Go here. Keeping it fresh, keeps it alive. And this is where I really want to see it, is where it transitions here. Keep that line straight. And now let's take a look. It'll look quite different with the tape off, with those bordered edges. You can really see how it sits on the paper now. I like the abstraction here. You know, we could probably flip this however you want to make it an interesting painting, but keeping it this way, I find, you know, we have a strong base here. It sits down heavy. We're supposed to be sitting here. And the differentiation between here provides a really nice line. And I think that now this has a lot more interest, a lot more variety, right? The secret to a successful painting is a variety, variety, variety. And we have very flat colors here, but within this tree here, we have some gradating color, but not smooth gradating or differential marks. And although, you know, this is the focal point in such a tiny area, because this is so big, it allows us to come through, rest our eyes, but then come back and rest our eyes and look around and enjoy it. And it's simple, so it keeps it happy. I guess that's the way I'm trying to look at it. But you always come here and find some interest. The farther you stand back, the more you'll realize it's a landscape scene. But I think this is a success, and I'm looking forward to doing this larger. I think my next step will be a 24 squared and then possibly a 40 or a 48 squared. All right, thanks for watching this unexpected two-part series. I thought I'd really just finish this off in one go, but you know what? Things change, things adapt. And I think as an artist, we really have to be open to change. Otherwise, we just get disappointed in the paintings we create instead of adjusting them and making them better and then being excited again about being an artist. So never, never, never think that everything is set in stone. And there's a saying, and I can't remember who said it, but painting is nothing more than a series of corrections. And once you have that mindset, you can just move on to something else, to something else, to something else, until all of a sudden you walk into the room again after a coffee and you think, that's it. All right, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.